Welcome back to Mike's Madness, and in this video we're going to be going over my bowl picks against the spread. Again, these are not all the bowls, but the main ones and a few of the other ones that aren't, the top, 10 teams or whatever. But they are the New Year's Six bowls, and then a couple of the other bowl games as well. So yeah, let's get right into it. And the first one we have up here is the Cheez-It Bowl between Oklahoma State and Miami. Oklahoma State is ranked 21st in the country, and Miami is ranked 18th. And I've been doing picks against the spread for both NFL and college football all year long. And Oklahoma State has not been too kind to me when I pick them. I think I'm like 1-5 when I pick them. So it seems like they cannot cover a spread to save their lives. So with that being said, we take a look at the spread, which is Oklahoma State -2, and my pick for this game, as you might be able to guess, is going to be Miami. Because again, I think Miami, I think they have a really good team. Their quarterback, De'Aaron King, I think he's going to be a very good quarterback. Well, I mean, he already is, but I think like next year and years to come, he's going to keep improving. And this Miami team, I think, is going to be a dangerous team in the next few years, as they have gotten some national recognition this year, but I think it's going to, I think this is his freshman year, and I think that this will progress into a more dangerous team and a more prominent team in the ACC. And, this year Clemson played Notre Dame in the ACC championship, and if we all go back to normal football and Notre Dame goes back to being an independent team in college football and they don't permanently become a part of the ACC, then I think Miami or North Carolina could be that team to kind of step up and really challenge Clemson in the ACC and give them a run for their money. So, again, my pick is Miami +2 in the Cheez-It Bowl. That one will be played today at 5:30 p.m. on ESPN. So if you want to catch that one, there are all the deets you need to watch that. The next game we've got here is the Alamo Bowl between 20th ranked Texas and Colorado. That one is also today. That'll be 9 p.m. on ESPN. And the spread here is Texas -9.5. And I'm going to be quite honest here. I haven't watched too much of Colorado. So it says they're 4-1 and Texas is 6-3. So I have caught some Texas games this year. But again, I haven't caught too many Colorado games. So Colorado could come out and surprise me in this one, but I'm going to go ahead and take Texas -9.5. If the spread was like 7 or less, I would definitely be taking Texas, and I think this would kind of be a lock for me. But at 9.5, I'm kind of iffy on it, but I'm still going to go ahead and take Texas nonetheless. And again, before we get to the next game here, Texas is one of those teams that I think they're going to be in this endless cycle of constantly trying to be one of the big teams and the most elite teams in the country, and they're just going to keep falling short every year. I just don't think they have what it takes under the current administration, coaching, and everything. I don't think they have what it takes to be one of those teams that can make a push to win the Big 12 or even get to the playoff. They're going to need to do a lot more recruiting and a lot better coaching in games to be able to get to where they want to be. A couple of years ago, Sam Ehlinger was like, "We're back." Texas is not back. If being back is constantly falling short of expectations year after year, and this year they're not even in a New Year's Six bowl. If that's being back, then that I gotta say that's disappointing, because when I heard that they were back, I thought, okay, Texas is gonna. Well, I didn't necessarily think that, but when you hear that, you kind of think, okay, Texas is gonna go on a nice run here, but that didn't end up happening yet. Maybe they'll turn things around soon. The next one, now this game is on Wednesday. This is tomorrow, the 30th. And this is the Cotton Bowl between 7th ranked Florida and 6th ranked Oklahoma. The spread is Oklahoma -3, and Florida is a team that they gave Alabama a run for their money in that SEC championship. Oklahoma beat Iowa State in the Big 12 championship by 6, and Iowa State is a really good team. We'll be having their bowl on this video a little bit later, and I think Oklahoma is a really good team, but I don't know if I don't even think they'll beat Florida. But the spread here is Oklahoma -3. So needless to say, I'm taking Florida. As I just said, I don't think Oklahoma can even beat Florida. I think Florida's got a lot of talent. I like their quarterback, Kyle Trask. I think he has done a lot to improve from where he was being the third string quarterback last year for Florida. And again, I think that I think Oklahoma is a pretty decent team. I don't, they kind of had a stretch where they weren't doing so hot and they fell out of the top 25, but they kind of found themselves. And their head coach Lincoln Riley is a really good head coach. But I think Florida is going to win this game. So needless to say, I'll take Florida +3 all day long. The Arizona Bowl. Now this is one of the bowls again, not one of the top New Year's Six bowls as we already we had the Alamo Bowl and the Cheez-It Bowl. Those were not New Year's Six bowls obviously either. But San Jose State was a team that I picked +6.5. I believe the spread was in that Mountain West Championship against Boise State, and they won that. And I also had Ball State +13.5 against Buffalo in the MAC Championship as well. So kind of following up on both those teams. See where they went in their bowl endeavors, and they ended up both facing each other in the Arizona Bowl. Now, this one will be on Thursday at 2 o'clock on CBS, and I don't believe I mentioned the Cotton Bowl real quick. The Cotton Bowl, as I did mention, it was tomorrow, the 30th, but it is 8 o'clock p.m. on ESPN, and that, again, is the Cotton Bowl between Oklahoma and Florida. For this game, again, it's 2 o'clock on CBS on Thursday the 31st. The spread is San Jose State -9.5. I think Ball State might keep it close. This is not a lock by any means, but I'm going to go ahead and pick San Jose State -9.5. I think they had a really great game in the Mountain West Championship, and Ball State had a really good performance as well in the MAC championship, but I think San Jose State is just the better team overall here. And I think when, matching up Ball State with Buffalo is one thing, the two teams in the same conference, that's one thing. But when you take them and match them up against a different team from a totally different conference, it's a whole different thing. You can't just say, it is pairing an apple with an orange instead of an apple with an apple. So I think San Jose State is just the better team overall, so I'll take them -9.5. Again, not a lock by any means, but that's just my pick. Next game here is the Peach Bowl. Now, this is one of the New Year's Six bowls. This will be on New Year's Day, Friday, 12 o'clock p.m. on ESPN between Cincinnati and Georgia. The spread here is Georgia -7. And Georgia's kind of a wild card team when it comes to doing picks for me this year. There are games where I'll pick them and they'll come out and absolutely just lay an egg, and then I get that pick wrong, and then the next week or the week after or whatever, I will go ahead and pick against them, and then they'll come out and absolutely dominate. So they're kind of an up and down team. Georgia's ranked 9th, Cincinnati's ranked 8th. I think that again, Georgia's kind of a wild card team. I feel like I don't know what to expect from them ever. So they could come out and absolutely dominate. But I think Cincinnati is another team that they have been quite consistent. And I know that they're playing in a conference that is not as strong as the other Power 5 conferences. I get it. I understand completely that it's the same thing I just mentioned before. It's matching an apple with an orange and not an apple with an apple. I totally understand that. But this is a little bit different. They have been able to do a lot of things this season, and they even made a case for themselves to be in the playoff. I just think Cincinnati is a team that they've got a chip on their shoulder a little bit, much like UCF did in recent years when they were in these New Year's Six bowls, and they kind of felt like, you know what, hey, we're better than what the playoff says we are. And so I think Cincinnati is going to come out and surprise a lot of people. So I'm going to take Cincinnati +7. Now, again, this is not me saying that Cincinnati is going to win. I just think that they'll keep it within 7. I think they'll keep it under 7 or less. And I'll certainly take a push in this game as well. I'm not, I'd rather take a push over a loss. I think that's pretty much anybody, though, when it comes to picking against the spread. I don't think you're going to be like, you know what, I'd rather lose than take a push. But nonetheless, that's my pick. Cincinnati +7 for the Peach Bowl, which is tomorrow or Friday the 1st, New Year's Day, 12 p.m. on ESPN. Next game here is the Citrus Bowl, which will also be on New Year's Day. This will be 1 o'clock p.m. on ABC. This is between Auburn and 14th ranked Northwestern. Northwestern, it took a few weeks for me to kind of believe in them, but then after I think it was after, what game was it? Was it after they beat somebody where I kind of changed my attitude about them and said, okay, this team might actually be for real. Um, it might have been the Wisconsin game. I'm not sure which game it was, but they beat somebody. It was really good. I think it was the Wisconsin game, and that's when I kind of changed my whole attitude about this team. Um, but yeah, the spread in this one is Northwestern minus 3.5. Now, again, these spreads that I'm popping up on the screen here, these are ones that I saw this morning. So it's now 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So the spreads may have fluctuated and changed a little bit. These are just the spreads I saw of this morning when I put them in to the spreadsheet and made my picks. So again, these are not like the real-time spreads. They may have changed a little bit. So don't be like, that's not the spread. You know, okay, it was a spread when I looked at it. All right, just, all right, it's okay, it's okay. So yeah, Northwestern minus 3.5. I think Auburn, you know, I think they just fired their head coach, didn't they? I mean, they fired him, so I don't think he's going to be coaching this game. I don't know, maybe he will be coaching, and then after that he's done. But that would be kind of weird, I would think. So Auburn's got a kind of odd thing going for them. They've definitely not played up to expectations. I think they started the year in the top 10, and they kind of went out there and laid an egg this season. Thus, they fired their head coach. So I had Northwestern plus 20.5 in the Big Ten Championship. I never really understood why the spread was that big in the Big Ten Championship, but albeit I had Northwestern plus 20.5. I think the whole country did, as that was, again, a really, that was a head-scratching spread. I never really understood that, but so I'm taking Northwestern minus 3.5. I think that they will come out and have a really good game. I think Northwestern is a team that they are starting that process of getting respect, because in years prior you would look at Northwestern athletics and you'd think, man, what a joke, you know. But a few years ago in basketball, they made the tournament for the first time, I think, in like, I don't think it was the first time in forever, maybe it was, but I think they did get their first win in forever or something like that. Now their basketball team is starting to get better. Their football team is starting to get better. Their football team has started to get better. You know, they started that a few years ago, and you know, this is where they are really kicking it into high gear, and they're getting their program going, and they're getting their athletics up to a level of you know, where you look at them and say, okay, that's a respectable team. So there you go. Northwestern minus 3.5 is my pick. That is, I am on the brink of calling that a lock. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say Northwestern minus 3.5 in the Citrus Bowl is a lock. But you know, I'll say that, and then Auburn will come out and beat them by 60 or something like that. That's just how it goes, it seems. Now we get to the big bowls on New Year's Day. The Rose Bowl game, which the Rose Bowl will not be played at the Rose Bowl this year. I guess that's 2024. Actually, that's funny though, because it'll be in 2021. But anyway, yeah, this is the Rose Bowl, which will be played in Dallas, or Arlington, whatever you want to call it. And this is between Notre Dame and Alabama. 4th-ranked Notre Dame, 1st-ranked Alabama. As I said in a previous video, I don't really think Notre Dame deserved to get in. The spread is Alabama minus 19.5. And usually when I have a spread this big, or not I have a spread, but when there's a game that there is a spread this big, I will say there's no way you know, the team that's favored, there's no way they're going to cover. And I was kind of foolish in my pick in the SEC championship when I had Alabama minus 17.5. I don't really know what I was thinking then, but this is one of those games where I think Alabama is going to come out like, I just think Alabama is way too good for Notre Dame to even keep it close. So you know, this is kind of one of those games where, like, I'm going to take Alabama here, but this is one of those games where, you know, Alabama could come out and dominate, take their starters out, Notre Dame gets a few cheap touchdowns, and Alabama only wins by like 17 or something like that. You know what I mean? It feels like it could be one of those games. But I think Alabama is going to blow this team out, and I think Alabama is going to expose just how bad of a team Notre Dame really is, or not bad, but just how undeserving Notre Dame is of getting in. I mean, Notre Dame's not a bad team at all. They're, you know, as I mentioned, I don't think that they are deserving of getting in, but I'm not saying that they're a terrible team. I think they're definitely, in my book, I think they're definitely a top 10 team. I just don't think they're a top 4 team. So, Notre Dame's not terrible. It's not like Alabama is going out and playing. Let's see, who was really bad in football this year? Uh, I can't think of anybody right now. Penn State, I guess. Yeah, it's not like they're coming out and playing Penn State or Michigan or anything like that. But I think Alabama's going to blow them out. And that was one of the playoff semifinals, by the way. That will be at 4 p.m. on the Friday the 1st, 4 p.m. on ESPN. Again, that was the Rose Bowl. The other semifinal, which will be on ESPN at 8 o'clock p.m. on January 1st. And this is the Sugar Bowl, and this one's going to be interesting because not only because it's between the second and third best team in the country, but if you missed it, Dabo Swinney, how they have not only do they have the college football playoff top 25 and the AP top 25, but they also have the coaches poll where basically I'm pretty sure it's all the coaches of the FBS do their, they make their own top 25, and basically the coaches poll is, like the team in the first ranked team in the coaches poll will be whoever got the most, whoever the coaches put at number one the most, if that makes sense. And they released some of the top coaches polls because, as I said, every coach does it themselves. And Clemson's head coach Dabo Swinney in his poll ranked Ohio State all the way at 11th. Not even in the top, not in the top 4, not in the top 5, not in the top 10, but at 11th. And then he went out and defended his decision recently. And I think that's gonna have Ohio State kind of coming out with a chip on their shoulder and coming out with something to prove. But anyway, I don't know if Ohio State is really all as good as as they were ranked. They only played 6 games this year. Clemson played 11. Ohio State is 6-0, and Clemson is 10-1. Now Ohio State, they beat Northwestern by 12, and they came out early, and they didn't really have such a great game early on in that Big Ten championship, and Northwestern actually had them on the ropes for a little bit. But I think Ohio State as well is overrated. I think if they were going to be in the top 4, I think that I don't know. I really feel like maybe they're not deserving either. I feel like had Florida won, then I think Florida would have Florida won the SEC championship. What I'm talking about, then Florida I think really should have got in over Notre Dame. And I know a lot of people were arguing for Texas A&M. Now they're not going to put Alabama, A&M, and Florida in. They're not going to put 3 SEC teams in, but and that makes sense. But I don't know. I think Ohio State, although they're 6-0, I don't know if they've really proved themselves, to me at least. Maybe a lot of other people are saying, no, man, Ohio State is for real. But the spread in this one is Clemson minus 7.5, and I'm taking Clemson all the way. I've been burned too many times by not taking Clemson in games that I really should have taken them, and so I'm just gonna go ahead and cut that out right here. So I'm taking Clemson minus 7.5. This is another one where I'm on the verge of calling it a lock on Clemson, but in such a high stakes game, I don't know if you can really put a lock no matter what the spread is, because these are those kind of games like the Super Bowl where you never really know what to expect because it's such a high stakes game. So you can't really ever come out and be like, I'm expecting this to happen. It's like, well, you know. And sure, you can say I expect Clemson to win, but nobody's really like 100% certain on what's really going to happen. Because, again, you never know what's going to happen in these playoff semifinal games. Moving on, the Fiesta Bowl, which will be played on Saturday the 2nd, 4 p.m. And all these times are Eastern, by the way. I don't think anybody's watching these videos from anywhere else in the country. I don't think people in my own neighborhood are really watching these videos, nonetheless. But yeah, 4 p.m. on ESPN. This is the Fiesta Bowl between 25th ranked Oregon and 10th ranked Iowa State. The spread here is Iowa State -4. Kind of had a bad beat on no, actually no, maybe it was. I didn't really watch the game. I think I was at work for the Big 12 championship. I had Iowa State +5.5. They ended up losing by 6. So close. But in this one, I'm gonna go ahead and take Iowa State all the way. Come on, square. There we go. Iowa State -4 all the way. This is another one where I'm kind of close on calling it a lock. Although Oregon did win the Pac-12 championship, you know, and with these teams that only played like 6 games or so, you don't really know what to expect from them because 6 games is a rather small sample size. So Oregon could come out and surprise me, but I'm going to take Iowa State -4. And then this is the last game that I have on my picks. This is not the last bowl game. There are plenty of other bowl games this week, but this is just the one that I'm picking. The Orange Bowl between 5th ranked A&M and 13th ranked North Carolina. A&M is 8-1 on the season. Carolina is 8-3. This is the Orange Bowl, which will be played Saturday, January 2nd, 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. North Carolina is a team that they've kind of had an up and down season as well. You know, they were in the top 10 for a little bit. Then they kind of had a slide where I think they exited the top 25 for a bit. But then they found themselves again and re-entered, and now they're in the top 15. They're a good team, don't get me wrong, but I think A&M's coming out, much like some of these other teams that I talked about, with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, feeling like Rodney Dangerfield, that they're getting no respect. You know, so I think they're going to come out a little angry, chip on their shoulder, as I said. And the spread here is A&M -7.5. And, you know, I think that this has potential to be one of those games where A&M comes out and really does a number on me and wins only by 7 or something like that. Something to really just set the tone for me here. But I'm going to go ahead and take A&M -7.5 in this one. As I said, I think they're coming out with a chip on their shoulder and feeling like they still have something to prove. But again, don't get me wrong. North Carolina is a really good football team, and I think they're going to be really good in years to come. But in this game, in this Orange Bowl, I'm taking A&M -7.5. So there you go. Those are my picks against the spread for the bowl games this week. Not all of them, as I said. There are definitely other bowl games going on this week. Those are just the main ones that I saw. Some other bowl games, you know, you've got a couple other on Saturday. You've got a couple others on Thursday. Another one that I'm kind of interested in that I almost had on the picks is the Liberty Bowl on Thursday between West Virginia and Army. That could be a good game. So if you want to tune into that one, that could be pretty exciting as well. A game that got canceled was supposed to be played tomorrow that could have been pretty exciting was Iowa against Missouri, but that one ended up getting canceled. But you do still have another bowl game tomorrow between Wake Forest and Wisconsin. So yeah, there you go. Those are my picks for the bowl games picked against the spread. If you did enjoy, hit the like button. That would be greatly appreciated. Comments are always welcome. Hit the subscribe button down below. If it is red, that means you haven't subscribed. If it is gray, that means you have. If the button is red, go ahead and hit the subscribe, as not only it helps me out, but it also helps the channel out. And when you subscribe, you can hit the little bell, and that will give you notifications every time a new video is posted on the YouTube channel. So other than that, also if you did enjoy, you can go ahead and share it with your friends, family, all that great stuff as well. That would be greatly appreciated. Other than that, once again, thank you for watching, and I'll be back in the next video. Stay tuned. I'm out.